Anthem.
And welcome to Today at the Races. Welcome to Laurel Park, 1st of February. I'm Keith Fustel with Equibase. Dan Oman, Director of Communications here for the Maryland Jockey Club here at Laurel Park. Dan, welcome back. Can we get a little bit more value this afternoon?
You took the words right out of my mouth. There was a lot of chalk yesterday, a lot of short prices, but I guess better short price than a long face.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we battled through. We had plenty of horses on top, but not the kind of day, you know, from that kind of standpoint, a money standpoint. But we're going to try to do a little bit better. J.G. Torrealba with a really nice day yesterday with 3 winners. Kieran McGee with 2 as that barn keeps rolling along. But, you know, I think we have a little bit better shot at some prices in the offing on this Saturday card. 9 races on tap. If you like 3-year-olds, we've got plenty. We've got 5 3-year-old races on today's card at Laurel Park. Are we going to get right to it and get a little weather update and track condition? There we go. Not too bad. Sun peeking out, 42 degrees, partly sunny skies. Winds picking up a little bit, about 14 miles per hour.
Be interesting to see how the winds affect the races today and the muddy track
Yes.
as well. This track was chewed up this morning. The track maintenance crew's done a wonderful job in getting it really ready to go for race time. But it's muddy right now. We'll see if maybe you guys upgrade it after a race or two. But as we always say, keep an eye on for early biases. That's when you could try to make money. And it's not when the favorite wins the first 3 races in gate-to-wire fashion. You're looking for horses that are outrunning and outperforming their odds, consistently running on a certain part of the racetrack.
And that's the key. And like I say, we keep a look at that. That's one thing on our new handicapping page on the laurelpark.com website. Please go to it. All of our selections, horses to watch, track bias reports. And we're not going to go willy-nilly on these track biases either. They've got to be proven for us to go ahead and note that bias. So let's get started here in race 1. Maiden claiming, 3-year-olds. 7 furlongs is the distance. 1 scratch in here. The 9, Baytown Governor. Reminds me of my buddy down in South Carolina, the Governor. Good to see him, Marion Moore. Hopefully we'll see him back at the Ellery Trials. But Dan, taking a look at this, we've got a firster. We talk about taking an edge, lifting, and we're going to see about this early value pick 5 as well. So let's start with that. The early value pick 5, 12% takeout. I've got a ticket for today's early value pick 5. Once again, please jump in. Our handle's been good, improving with this 12% takeout wager. $27 is the cost today for my ticket. $257 is going to get you started. We talk about lifting. I talked about the edge, a big purchase price in for $20. We get this from the Brittany Russell barn. She's got so many horses to gauge each other against. This one winds up for $20. very well could be a winning spot on debut. Race 2, 2 deep with the 4 and the 5. First Pearl Cruise Chica for me. If you can stretch it, Golden Philly should be tough on the front end for Ness, but we've got to keep this thing fairly reasonable. Race 3 with the 4, 5, and 7. Race 4, 2, 5, and 6. Got a single here in race number 5. That's right down to the 9-horse Gilda's Girl, a $27 early value pick 5 ticket.
No, it's a nice $27 ticket there. Gilda's Girl's a horse we're both going to talk about in depth a little bit later on. I think that horse has a big chance, so I think you have a big chance if you're alive to her, even though she is a single in the final leg.
Yes.
We talked about lifting the number 2, and again, you look at this horse with a pedigree like this, a horse by Curlin. The dam was a stakes winner, going a dirt mile. The dam's a half to 3 black type earners. A $150,000 buyback as a weanling, a $260,000 yearling, and Brittany's going to let you have him for 20 if you so desire to dip into the claim box. It's usually a very suspicious move. With Brittany, not so much. And we do have a trainer stat for Brittany Russell. 3-year-old first-time starters, maiden claiming, 5 for the last 11, 45%, $3.07 ROI. Several of those horses, big purchase price, running for less than the purchase price. Now, you have a stat that's going to throw a monkey wrench into this stat.
That's exactly what I was going to say, put a wrench into this one. 0 for 7, though, the last 3 years on the main track, first-time starters, the maiden claiming variety at 7 furlongs. I've got to go elsewhere for a little bit of a value. I'm going to go towards the outside with the 7 Dad Joke. We have a video for this Damon Dilladovico runner. 3rd career start for the son of Practical Joke.
Let's take a look at the gate right here. This horse just gets pinched badly, and only in the second lifetime start. Not only got pinched badly the first 3 strides out of the gate, just keep it going, and bumped here, bumped here, bumped here. Now it's going to get pinched again and is now all the way at the back of the pack, and it's just a lot to overcome for an inexperienced horse trying to make up ground against a sharp winner in English Daddy. And one of the also-rans from that race came back to win for 12.5 with a 45 buyer. I think Dad Joke will be a lot closer to the pace as he was in his career debut, and I also think he has a little bit of a late kick. That was a sneaky late move he made after that early trouble.
Yes, and interesting, when you look at the family, he's kin to a really fast horse that Damon also trained in Super Love, topped at a 91 buyer figure. We just got to get out of the gate cleanly here with the 7 Dad Joke. And a little note on Damon, the last 5 years on the main track, with these maiden claimers making their 3rd career start. 7 for 30, not too shabby at a 23% clip. You're looking at Tetched as well on the turnback.
Tetched has a big wet track pedigree. We know the Great Notions can step on the wet. The Dam went on the wet, and Annette Eubanks has a good trainer stat as well. We're going to fire that one up. Route to Dirt Sprint, 5 for the last 14, 36%, $2.37 ROI. I generally like horses cutting back to this 7 furlong distance, especially when you've had several route races. Tetched adds blinkers. It's worth noting this horse has a recent bullet workout out of the gate. I wonder if they came with the blinkers. I won't be surprised if this horse shows some speed. I was talking to Jamie Ness when Jamie had Tetched, and he said that Tetched was just sort of a grinding one-pace type.
Okay.
But I think it's 7. If he can get close to a moderate pace over a wet track, it'll help.
I think a little shorter field as well. I mean, Mr. Mendels just galloped that day, got away. It was a bigger field. Tetched just might have gotten lost. The blinkers bring a little bit more focused here on the turnback for Annette Eubanks. I'll let you talk about the 3 White Blue at a really nice, generous 15-1 morning line for trainer Marco Salazar.
Who finished behind Tetched in the career debut, was going a mile, though, first time out, and that's never easy. They sent him up to Aqueduct last time out, wired in that race by a sharp horse that came back to run 3rd in a $50,000 starter optional up there with a 63 buyer. This Dam has already foaled 1 wet track winner. I just think it's too early to give up on this horse. He's going to be a price.
And I thought Mamba Mindset did not run awful in that same race with Mr. Mendelssohn, caught down inside battling
key to the race because he's got speed. And I think with the scratch of the 9, there's a chance that the X-Man, who we know can be very aggressive, is sending Mamba Mindset out there. Dam 1 on a wet track, second Dam 1 on a wet track, maybe with the drop in class. This one carries the speed a little longer.
Really good recovery ride yesterday for the X-Man with Mr. Antonelli.
Absolutely.
I thought off his step slow for Marici. Got into position, a little breather, worked outward to come with a big run. 89 buyer as he jumped up to that 3 other than condition for the win. Dan, 2.573 in race 1. I go 7.528. Turning to race 2. Race 2, we have a field of 7. No scratches in here. Going 1 mile. 3-year-old fillies. Morning line favorite at 8-5. The 6-horse Golden Filly. Early pick 4 as well. So if the pick 5, you don't kick it off with the winner, you come right back here for the pick 4. We've got multiple pick 4s on today's card. We've got that middle pick 4 in race 4 and later on in race number 6. Dan, we both kind of lean here. Yeah, we do on the 4 First Pearl for trainer Gary Capuano.
And you know, it's the rematch between Golden Filly and First Pearl, and I know Golden Filly finished ahead of First Pearl in that race on December the 20th. I actually thought First Pearl ran just as well. Golden Filly was just able to get to the lead and drop the anchor over a wet track. Look at that half-mile split. 48-3 in a 6-furlong race. First Pearl was bumped at the start, as we see right here, is going to be taken all the way back to the last and comes with a run on the outside. You see him getting bumped once again out of the gate. And in a race where you're wired in a slow-paced race, you're really behind the 8 ball, especially when you have to turn wide into the lane. So you're last at the 3/16ths. You've got a quality speed that's having everything his own way up front, and yet First Pearl is still going to rally pretty nicely to finish 3rd. There's something here, I think, with First Pearl. I know Golden Filly is the only 2-time winner in the race. I think First Pearl improves second off the bench and has the pedigree to go long.
Absolutely. Multiple route winners on the main track within this family. Here's a stat for you for trainer Gary Capuano.
And Gary improved it yesterday with a victory in a first-level allowance race. He was 3 for 11 between December 21st and January the 26th with a positive ROI. The barn continues to do well. Lots of angles here for First Pearl. Just want him to get out of the gate a little cleaner and get closer to the pace.
Sometimes you watch video. Sometimes the winner doesn't always run the best race that particular day. Looking for First Pearl to possibly turn the tables on Golden Filly in this afternoon's second race. We both like Cruz Chica coming in for Lynn Cash.
Cruz Chica, I think, just didn't care for that synthetic surface at Turfway Park, and I don't think Cruz Chica cared for chasing a blazing pace around 2 turns. They went 23-1 for the opening quarter. Cruz Chica's chasing a loose leader and understandably had nothing left. I really like this one's performance at Churchill Downs 2 starts back. Now, it got a very nice trip sitting off a 48-1 pace setter, but went right by early with 3 furlongs to go and kept about her business. Another horse that can be close to the pace with Lasix on.
She's proven stamina right here, has had the chance to run route, and the 1-turn mile at Churchill Downs a couple races back. That 3rd place finisher came back to win a maiden claiming 30, and then came back in the fairgrounds to run. Okay, this horse keys up against some good runners when you really go back and look at in the second career start. Ms. Malice is okay moving forward. Touch upon the 7. A Shawtown girl for me.
Well, a Shawtown girl's just getting some class relief here. They ran her in the gin talking last time out, and she was facing Caprice, who's arguably the divisional leader of 3-year-old fillies in the Mid-Atlantic region. A Shawtown girl's just not going to fire against that horse, and they might have even aimed too high in the second lifetime start where they took on 2 next out winners. This is a very good wet track pedigree. Lord Nelson scores 19% on a wet track, the second Dam 1 on a wet track, but it's worth noting Mr. Trotman had his choice. The 7 and the 2 goes to the 2.
He does. Very interesting. But that last race in the gin talking was much better. Sneaky good. You see the comment there. In tight at the start. We gave the mildly comment when we put that in there. Means the horse was willing enough to the wire and actually closing some ground. Dan, 4-5-7-2. Keith, 4-5-6-7 in race 2 as we turn our page here to race number 3. Race number 3, 2 turns in 1 mile and a 16th. For the 3-year-olds, these are the boys. 1 scratch, the 8, let's have a party, leaving us a field of 7. Superfecta wagering, pick 3 wagering. Don't forget about the pick 3s. I was back and forth in this race. You go to the 4, Amy's Music, a horse that goes first-time tag for Mike Trombetta.
Yeah, it's one of the angles in here. Of course, first-time Lasix as well, as with many of these horses, but also a horse with a really strong wet track pedigree. McLean's Music is one of my favorite wet track stallions, 19% on the wet, the second dam 1 on the wet. And this is a similar situation of the Norm Cash horse we talked about in the previous race. This horse ran on synthetic last time out. I really don't think he cared for it. His race 2 starts back at Laurel. He was in against some tough first-level allowance types. I think from a speed figure standpoint, Amy's Music fits very well on the class drop, and I think has enough tactical speed to be within range. There's some pedigree as well for this horse to stretch out. The dam was a multiple stakes winner around 2 turns.
Yeah, damn. All long is my comment there. Lone Sib did win at 2 turns, and here's the sneaky thing. You got to pay attention. Comes off that race on the synthetic surface at Turfway. That was first-time blinkers. Blinkers on today, and you look at the internals of some of these races that Amy's Music comes out of against some quality 3-year-olds from around here. Would not surprise me in the least with a good break that Toledo goes and tries to take this field coast to coast towards the inner part of the track at the 2-turn distance. Maybe not my first rodeo or Beartown's Baytown might have something to say about that, even Lightning Balls. But I think Amy's Music is going to be forward. I would prefer him to be forward in today's 3rd race. Let's take a look at the 5. Got an interesting horse coming in here. Off the claim, Generative for Jamie Ness. Claimed out of that maiden score on the synthetic surface down at Turfway Park. Couple tough trips, though, down to Churchill and Keeneland. We've got a video spotlight for this runner going back to November the 30th at Churchill Downs when trouble was there right from the get-go.
This is 2 starts back, and you saw the break just was not there for this horse. And Generative is a horse that I really think needs to be a little bit closer. You see him trying to rush up and get into position, and now look, not only is he pinched, but he's also now forced very, very wide into the first turn. What kind of chance do you have in a strong field of maiden special weights when you have a break like that? And the answer is 0. We know that Kentucky Invaders do very, very well over this circuit. We know that Ness can find these horses, get them in the right spot, and Generative seems like he's going to be in the right spot. Last time out over synthetic, he took advantage of a fast pace and got it done, but the runner-up came back and ran a very good race, second in a maiden special down there with a 57 buyer. This horse lacks speed.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yep.
But I do think there is some speed in this race. I do think the 3 is going to try to go. I think the 2 is going to go. I think Amy's Music's going to sit close. Bangkok Bob is stretching out. Generative should get a fair chance in here, and J-Rod is going to be kicking late with this one.
I agree. And out of that 2-back race, the video spotlight we shared with you, 5 next out winners, including Generative, a very, very key race. And also Ness, the last 3 years. I wrote this down. Synthetic to dirt, pretty good, 8 for 28. 29%. Bangkok Bob, interesting little run there. The drop last time off the break. Got it done with Toriaba. Now a little bump back up in class from tag standpoint.
He's a 3-time winner, facing a lot of 1-time winners, and that's a big advantage. And we saw him take care of the business 2 starts back at Delaware Park. And this horse just got a beautiful ride from Toriaba last time. Sat the pocket. The rail opened up. There was not a straw in Bangkok Bob's path. He shot right on through, and he got the job done as a favorite should. He's got quality speed figures. He is a big horse. I think being by Union Rags, the extra distance isn't going to be a problem. One of the horses he beat last time out came back to win a $20,000 claimer with a 57 buyer. There are a lot of things to like about Bangkok Bob, but it's always dangerous playing a favorite, doing something they've never done, and Bangkok Bob is going to have to try 2 turns for the first time, even with the good pedigree and the size.
That's true. That's true. But second off of a break, second off anything we said yesterday for Gary Cap. Inside, a little bit of a price shot here at a 12-to-1 morning line. Brereton's Baytown. Don't let the Charlestown races fool you, I guess.
No, not at all, and he likes a sloppy track, as we saw 2 starts back. I just think this horse is probably coming into his own. His last race was a little bit disappointing, but he was wired by the odds-on favorite. He just didn't change leads in the stretch, and going a mile and a 16th, he's going to have to do that, but breaking from this advantageous inside post, short run to the first turn, he can get good position.
Yeah, this is a competitive group. This is an interesting race. I like your top selection, Amy's Music. I was teetering back and forth between the 4 and the 5. I will key around those 2 in race 3. Dan, 4715. I'm 5472. Turning to race number 4. We have one scratch out of today's 4th race. Unfortunately, got it. We'll wait another day for that runner. So we've got a field of 6. Starter allowance 20 down to 16 if you're in for the tag. This kicks off the 20-cent Chesapeake Pick 6 wager, the jackpot wager offered here at Laurel Park. Also, the 50-cent Pick 4, the middle Pick 4 encompassing races 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, scratch the 4. Got it. Horse for course here for me. My top selection is going to be Baracho. He's super fast. Going to try to bounce back, but he's a 6-time winner out of 10 starts over this surface. You go towards the inside with the 2, Nancy Made My Day.
Well, we have a video spotlight of Nancy Made My Day, but I do want to talk about Baracho as well. Here's Nancy Made My Day, who was prompting the pace early in here and is eventually going to get outside. I thought this was a good effort because he was used in the, or she was, he was used in the early part. Now he gets to the outside with a clear run, but unfortunately, look who's going to come and get him in here, and that's Monday morning quarterback who finds the split.
Yeah.
Monday morning quarterback is not only just a backclasser, he's in very good form right now. Nancy Made My Day, I thought, is game to finish second. He kind of made 2 moves into this pace setter, game to run second. He's paired up 82 Beyer tops in both starts since being claimed by Anthony Farrier, and just looks like he can work out a good trip behind the speeds.
Proving that slot number 2 races back wasn't an aberration, was able to bring it back, pair it up, second time off the claim. That speaks volumes for Nancy Made My Day. I definitely like that runner, but you wanted to talk about Baracho. Go right ahead.
He's just a racehorse, isn't he? He's won 16 times in his career. If you go all the way back to 2019, he was 3rd in the Grade 1 Woody Stevens. He's been a good racehorse for a long time, and I know that last running line looks poor. It's very unlike Baracho. I was watching the races at Parks that day. Big rail track. He was chasing a favored speedball from the outside, and I think being on the deeper outside park worked against Baracho.
Okay.
He's going to be up close to the pace in here. We'll see if he can deal with He's Orientate, who's in very good form and is also quick.
Yeah, Whiskey and you can kind of force that issue. I don't know if he's quite as quick as Baracho or He's Orientate, but He's Orientate has been very sharp through the opening quarter, half miles in recent races for Nancy Howell. Shape note, another Farrier runner to the inside, off the claim, a win last time out. He's going to need a really good break. Has to avoid being shuffled back through that opening 1/8 of a mile.
Rider switch to Marshall Mendez in here, second off the Farrier claim. Farrier knows where to place these horses, and he does exceptionally well at Mahoning Valley. And something tells me that those Beyer speed figures at Mahoning Valley might be a little bit inflated. Not to take anything away from Shape Note's performance. He got bumped at the start. He made a 4-wide bid on the turn. He was just better than those horses. If he runs back to that number, he fits here. Let's see if he can do it. We've seen him at Laurel before.
I think this is a little bit better group than he's facing. He's a salty horse like Baracho. I think the 5 is a horse you cannot dismiss. Order of the Kettle with the flow that's going to be here. Granted, a little, some of it comes out with the 4 being scratched. I think this one can ramp up a run. Shortening up a furlong, 7 back to 6. Toriaba McGee, great combination right there. This horse, second off the claim. Did we have a stat for this one? I'm going to talk about a little stat.
Talk about it.
Did we have a stat?
No, we have a
I'm
later
going to
stat.
I'm going to give you a little stat. I'm going to tweak a stat.
Tweak.
Second off the claim the past 3 years, dirt sprints. This kind of value. I know this horse isn't in the tag, but in this range, 15 to 25 level, how about 8 for 17, 47% with a 319 ROI? If things get fast and furious, contested up front. Look for Order of the Kettle to come rolling in today's 4th race. 2157 for Dan, 6521 for me. Take a little break back to look at the last 5. The value pick 5 awaits.
Baltimore! To the city of Baltimore, to all the fans watching around the world, Riders up!
They're off in the Preakness. All eyes of the world will be on Baltimore.
They're head and head. Seabiscuit leads by a length. Seabiscuit is the winner.
And it was a powerhouse race again by the big, strong Secretariat. Sunday Silence takes the lead at the quarter pole.
American Pharaoh, phenomenal in the Preakness. And the filly did it! Rachel Alexandra!
Here
Magnus by a dozen lengths. She's the brave, wins the Preakness.
Welcome back to Today at the Races. We are through 4. We're going to start right here with race 5, kicking off the value late pick 5 with that 12% takeout. Race 5 at 7 furlongs. There's our reminder, 12% takeout. Please join along, step in. It is a great, great bet. We have 2 of them on each card. This offers a little carryover possibility as well with the late value pick 5.
Certainly does. Mackenzie Pfeiffer has a ticket for us, I believe, in the pick 5, late pick 5. Let's throw up Mackenzie's ticket. It's a $32 play, and we're going to kick things off with 2 horses in race number 5. Lady Charlotte, the number 5, a very fast horse trained by Lacey Gaudette. Also going to go with the 9, Gilda's Girl, a horse that we're going to talk about at length. The 3, 5, 7, 11 in race number 6. The 1 in the 5 in race number 7. And then we'll find out if the Jamie Ness 100 buyer horses for real in race number 8. That's going to be Mackenzie's single, catching a wet track again. And then race number 9, why not spread a little bit? 3, 4, 5, 6. Total cost $32, 50-cent minimum bet. Low, low, low. 12% takeout. It's a great play.
Absolutely. Please join us. Step right in. Play a couple tickets. Hopefully you hit. Hopefully we can get this pool, I should say, well above that $40,000, $50,000 range. We like what we've got here with these 12% pick 5s. They are worth it. Step in. They can be some day changers, life changers along the way. So race 5 stays intact. These are fillies and mares, 7/8 of a mile, non-winners of 3. It's interesting. We've both got the 9 Gilda's Girl on top. One of my better wagers of today. I'm hoping the moisture stays within this racetrack because I kind of did an audible. If you looked at the selections last night, I did not have Gilda's Girl on top, but I kind of did an old switcheroo thinking that the moisture stayed. We'll see. Talk to me, Dan, about Gilda's Girl.
Certainly likes a wet track. You can't argue with that. Gilda's Girl, we do have a stat, I think, for trainer Anthony Farrier. First off the claim on the dirt. 12 for the last 28. $3.77 ROI. Gilda's Girl was claimed out of her most recent start, and I just think she was pace compromised that day. That race they ran 1, 2, 3, all the way around the track. The only horse making up substantial late ground was Gilda's Girl, who was saving ground at the back, was kind of conservatively handled a little bit while in tight, altered course back to the inside, and once she got a clear run the final 3/16ths, she ran on with a good gallop out. They like this outside post. I think if Toledo can be a little bit aggressive and just park himself 4th, maybe only 3 paths off of the rail, in with a good chance turning for home.
She has shown better positional speed in the past. And if you go back this time last year, a couple of her races over the muddy sealed and the sloppy sealed track, those numbers, the 65 buyer and the 72 buyer, anything close to that, go visit her in the winner's circle for trainer for everybody. An interesting move. Does the drop concern you at all?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Again, we've seen that this barn knows where to place their horses off of the claim. I just think it's a perfect opportunity for them to win and still get out if the horse is taken.
And looking at the flow of this race, do you think Lady Charlotte, the 5, is the fastest? I think Maximo Madness might try to get up there a little bit closer along with Bally High off the 4.5, but Lady Charlotte's got a pretty good turn of foot.
I personally think Lady Charlotte is fast, and I think just was up against a really fast pace last time out going a mile. Opening quarter, 23-3. Second quarter, 23-4. She's tracking the pace in the pocket, then had to angle in between horses, and despite swapping leads a couple of times in the stretch, held on pretty well for 4th money. I like this distance a lot better for Lady Charlotte, who is proven on a wet track.
Paired up pretty close buyer figures, better figures within her career. Only 13 starts thus far for Lady Charlotte, but she also had to be used from that inside post at the 1-turn mile. That's a tough distance to come out of there. They usually break a touch slow, then have to use some gas to get into contention. Lady Charlotte, I think, will like where she's positioned today with a good break. 9-5 for Dan. I'm going to toss in the 4, Maximo Madness for Rudy Sanchez-Solomon. I thought that was a sneaky good race against multiple winners. Open Company last time, Bound by Destiny, Always Laughing, Loving Cup. You go a couple races further back, Conquest Dancer is on her page. little wake-up call last time. I think this is well-positioned going here for the beaten.
What do you do with the wet track? I think this horse is certainly bred for it. Preservationist is an excellent wet track sire, 23% winners. Dam's Fault, 1 wet track winner. This horse has run twice on wet tracks, has been nowhere both times, but you can argue was 31-1 2-back, so would have had a chance on a fast track, maybe not. And then 4-back, while she was a shorter price, she was in against some very sharp horses, so maybe she can handle wet going. What do you think?
I think so as well. I did the same thing. I looked at the breeding. It's there. I'll give her a little bit of a pass, and I think that was just a little bit of the move last time she made against Better gives me a little hope, a little better hope here. And I don't know if it's going to be as wet as what those other tracks were that she encountered a couple races back. So 9-5-7-2 Fashionista should be a little bit of a price here for Ferris Allen. I'm going to toss in the 1 Determined Blue. With Matilda Burnham for the Frocks. I thought this one, again, on a sloppy sealed surface. Vino's Little Girl just got away. True Sunshine came back to win. This is another one I think has a little bit better turn of foot than maybe what we're seeing, and I think can bring a finish, particularly against the straight 3-in-life group.
It just got wired in a slow-paced race last time out. We saw Pino's Little Girl. We saw True Sunshine. And also, again, the key for her is we know she likes a wet track. As a matter of fact, she might be a wet track specialist.
Okay. All right. That's a look at race 5. Let's go to the 6th race. Kicks off the late pick 4. Real quick, though, let's look at the field. We're going to look at the field here for race 6, going 6 furlongs. Maiden special weight, 3-year-old fillies. Scratch the 2. Cross of Valor, scratch the 6. Frosted Dreams. Both of these will make their debut another day. Leaves us with a field of 9. And again, the late pick 4, please jump in. 50-cent minimum wager. We have 3 of them most every day. Racing card. This is going to go 6, 7, 8, and 9. Dan, your top selection. We're going to scratch into the 5, Complexity Jane.
I certainly am, and you guys have been giving me nothing but steam about Complexity Jane up in the press box for the last 3 days. I wish you did it before I made the morning line, and I made the Mo Hype the first-time starter, because Complexity Jane has gotten nothing but hype up in the press box. She's bred for speed, both sides. She's by Complexity. She's a half to a stakes place dirt sprinter named Roman Giant. The Dam's a half to 3 black type earners. The Dam is full 2 wet track winners, a $100,000 yearling, a $170,000 2-year-old, and Brittany Russell happens to train. So I believe we have a stat for Brittany. 3-year-old, first-time starter, maiden special weight, not bad. 17 for the last 46, and you're making money. $2.51 ROI. Something tells me Complexity Jane is fast, and I think she'll handle the wet track just fine.
Yeah, the 2 other sibs did not hit the board in debut. This one just might, and might go right to the winner's circle for Brittany Russell. Tab the toad on that runner. I go outside with Tis Complex, another Complexity runner here for Cal Lynch. Hope Jones, Turf to Dirt Angle, 2nd career start. This has been okay for Cal Lynch. 2 for 9, 5 for 9 the last couple of years. Half to a stakes-winning dirt sprinter by the name of Neiman.
Yeah, Neiman was a pretty fast horse, and the second Dam here also won on a wet track, so we're getting lots of changes. Lasix, blinkers, dirt. I think breaking from the outside will not be a problem for this horse at all. I do like the complexities better on dirt than on turf, so maybe this is just the surface they've been waiting for, and I like that they gave this horse a little bit of a break, gearing him up at Fairhill for this one.
Absolutely. Let's go right to the video for the 10 Passages. This horse looks like a player, a claim for $30,000 off a break from August at Finger Lakes back here late December on a muddy sealed surface. Trouble right out of the gate.
Just didn't break. I mean, and that was a problem for Passage East in the debut at Finger Lakes. You see that she's the number 4. She didn't break well at Finger Lakes. In that race, she was able to recover and battled for the lead. This time around, she did pull a little bit to get into contention, and this is a prolonged move, Keith. And remember again, second time out, wet track. After that poor start, this horse has just been on the engine now for about 2.5 furlongs. It's very difficult to sustain this run, and you're thinking, okay, Passage East is going to eventually flatten out, finish third, finish fourth, but no, Passage East continues on all the way down to the wire and is just going to get beat by Luminous Secret, who comes back and beats Passage East. The 4th place horse came back to win for 12.5 with a 58 buyer speed figure. Passage East has every reason to get tired in this last 100 yards after that big move.
Yeah, a little bit of a brush, you could say maybe a touch of a hang, but to make that run, that long, prolonged run after that break. And Hugh McMahon, a protect move today, bumping this horse up to the maiden special weight ranks after that maiden claiming effort back in late December. We've got a stat for Hugh McMahon for Passage East.
Has been on fire recently, 5 for 19. Look at that ROI, $7.88 ROI. You mentioned the protect move off of the claim. This barn's been on a roll, and I just want to see Passage East break a little bit better this time because she has shown ability in both starts.
I'll let you talk about both, looks like speed horses in here because they've shown a pretty good turn of foot. Mo Hype did it on debut back in October for Jerry Robin Men's Grill. Baby Lady, first time for Damon Dilladovico, showing some really sharp speed down at Keeneland. So these two, they look like the pace unless this firster jumps up and shows a lot of gas. This, I will say real quick, the 8, though, is bred to some fast horses as well. It's kin to some fast horses. But let's talk about the 4, Baby Lady, and the 7, Mo Hype.
Let's start with Baby Lady,
Okay.
another horse shipping in from Kentucky, and a horse that showed much improved speed second time out. To me, that's always a big angle. Now getting Lasix for the first time for Damon, and wasn't against a good field last time out for 50. One of the horses that finished well back, came back to place in a $20,000 maiden claimer, and then ran well at Churchill for a $40,000 maiden claimer. I think this one has just a lot of upside. The question is, can you chase a fast horse like Mo Hype, put Mo Hype away, and then run down a horse and then hold off a horse like Passage East or the Brittany horse? So it could be a tough situation. Mo Hype was just quick out of the gate in the debut for Jerry Robb. Took a ton of money that day. 23 flat opening quarter, 23 and 2 second quarter, and is bred for wet, being by Uncle Mo.
Yep. The only thing I didn't like about Mo Hype's debut, Michelle did go up. They tried to run her, and I think in a grade 2 in New York, just didn't pan out. The other runners out of that field haven't shown me much since. But I think I got some faith in Mo Hype. This horse is going to be out there winging and trying to stay a little bit longer with the addition of Lasix today. 5-10, 7-4, race 6 for Dan. I go 11-10, 5 and 7. Let's turn to today's 7th race. Field of 9 in race 7. Open 7,500 boys going the 1-turn mile. Slight favorite here, 5-2 morning line favorite for the 7 Southern District. Dan, you like the 4, Impetute.
I do like the 4. I'm a little concerned about the wet track because Impetute has not run particularly well on wet going in the past, but I thought this horse ran very well 2 starts back for the conditioned 7,500, sitting off the pace and just blowing by in the stretch to win at 10-1. Last time out, this horse ran a stinker, let's be honest. Pressed the 7-2 third place finisher, was tracking that lone pace setter on the backstretch, and then was just done with 3.5 furlongs to go. Maybe just aimed too high that day. A little bit of a class drop. This horse has sneaky speed. I'm not saying Impetute's going to make the lead, but Impetute's going to be close in here, and if he could run back to that start 2 back, he's got a shot.
I think the fastest horse in here, if he wants to go, is Running River. The blinkers go back on this 5-year-old, and they've kind of been protecting him. Back down to 75 today. I think Whitaker will be going ahead and going from this outside post. Southern District, I'll let you talk about that one in a second. I'm going to talk about the 5, El Delary for Antonio Machado. I think this horse ran very good last time. Showed a little bit more positional speed, under some rating, had to tap the brakes a little bit at the 5/16. Was able to kind of work out and was very game inside the winner. Key race 2, those horses, this one was sandwiched in between. The winner came back to run well. What a Hard Man for Dad came back to run really big yesterday with an okay number. And looking at Machado, the last couple years, or like this last year with this kind of break, 5 for 11, 8 for 11 in the money on the 31 to 60-day layoff with an ROI of 367. That's a 45% strike rate. He's not the biggest horse. No. I'll let you talk about his weight.
Yeah, he weighs about 950, 960. We don't deal with weights anymore.
But he's
here
got
at the
some
Maryland
heart.
Jockey
He's
Club.
got some
But he's
heart.
got a lot of heart, and he was traveling so sweetly on the second turn before he encountered that trouble. It kind of just knocked him onto his right lead early, and then he still tried very, very hard back against the sharp Agaramase Puedes. He really fits in here. Southern District, another just racehorse. He's won 9 times in his career. He's banked over $400,000. Last time out at Charlestown, speed just seemed to do very, very well that day, and this horse just was outrun, saving ground in mid-pack, and then just didn't finish. I think he's a lot better than that. He's shown it in the past, and maybe rounding himself back into form. Third off the layoff for a barn that can win races at prices.
Yeah, he works here. I think he'll be fairly close once they turn for home. I'm going to throw in the 2 Captain Cardo. Something about him. I said, you know what? I'm going to throw him into the mix. He's a deeper closer. He's going to need some help up front. Let's speed it along here. 4.753 for Dan in race 7. I'm 5.7. 2-6. Let's head to the 8th. Kicks off your late daily double. Scratch the 1A, part of the entry, My Last Mission, and the 5, a Masacato. These are, the starter variety, started for 20 or less in the last 3. Claiming price 30 down to 24. A couple scratches here, but Supreme Law. Where did that come from?
Took the words out of my mouth. I don't know where that race came from. I do know that track at Parks was intensely inside speed friendly. Supreme Law just blasted out to the lead, rode the rail, but he also won by almost 30 lengths. So I'm not sure if the bias aided him that much. Maybe it was just getting back out around 2 turns. It was actually the first time in his career, except for one time at Parks, that he ran 2 turns. He breaks from the inside here. I think it's run and gun for Supreme Law. I highly doubt he will run a 100 buyer speed figure. I don't think he needs to win this race.
Here we go, a mile and an 1/8 for Supreme Law. Yeah, maybe was that probably top 3 winning margins for the year of 2024, 26.5.
Wow, gotta be.
Another county, this horse, when it was all said and done. I go penny loafer. I think Hammy Smith here, a little stat, the last 3 years on the main track, 3 for 12, 25%, 7 for 12 in the money. Dirt routes, 3rd off of this type of a break. Got a little bit further back than I thought he would be back on December 22nd, what we talked about. He's had some trips in the past that's got him home. It's that 3-back try against Most Perfect, a horse that you're using as well in here, that I think can make penny low for a player. And he's going to need a little help. He's going to need maybe Most Perfect to make that early move into Supreme Law.
But that race against Most Perfect was over a wet track. We know he likes it. We know he likes 2 turns.
Yeah, I'm going to toss that one. I'm 3-2-1. Dan, 1, 2, 3. Most Perfect, what do you think here at the 1.1 1/8 distance?
Big question mark, but this horse just moved way too early last time out. Big 3-wide bid to the front, 3/8 of a mile from home, and just got nipped. That was a winning race, and I think that Most Perfect is going to get a good trip just sitting off the speed.
All right, Dan, 1, 2, 3, 6 in here in race 8. Let's wrap it up, everybody. Race 9, the nightcap. It's going to go 1 turn. It's the mile distance. We have 1 scratch. My Lucky Valentine, maiden special weight. 3-year-olds, we are in agreement. Short price here to round things up. Let's hope we've got some profit here. But Dur Smart at a 6-5 morning line might come it down a little bit further here for Brittany Russell.
First time gelding, first time Lasix coming in from Aqueduct. I think we have a video spotlight for Dur's Smart, and this is Dur Smart's career debut back in October, just chasing on the outside near the back of the pack, but is going to make a good late run. Again, a lot of these 2-year-old sprint races are won in gate-to-wire fashion. That's what happened here when Stoney at odds-on made the lead. I like that Dur Smart showed enough guts to split horses and is going to run on to finish second. They tried him in New York last time out. He showed improved early speed. He just couldn't step with a nice horse. The winner of that race in New York, a Chad Brown trained runner who came back to run second in the Mucho Macho Man with a 79 buyer. And what I like about the Aqueduct performance, he changed leads a lot better than he did here, where he did not change leads at all.
Yeah, needed that education a little bit better on the correct lead. Second time out, you talked about the gelding angle, the Lasix angle. Dur Smart, the road could go through him once they turn for home, because I think he's got a little bit more positional speed than some of these in here. You talk about the 3 Percy, another stat for us for Phil Capuano. This is a runner that's been scratched a couple times. They finally get the spot, it looks like, today in the maiden special weight at the 1-turn mile. How about this first-time Lasix?
6 for the last 15 non-first-time starters. So these are experienced runners. 325 ROI, beaten by a chalky winner last time out. Another horse, though, did not change leads last time out. Be curious to see if Phil's been working on that with Percy, who's by Spun to Run, a good wet track sire.
Okay, wrap it up here with Greg Bigsby. We think that one's going to be in the mix as well, along with Kitty's Son for Jose Corrales. 5-3-6-1. I'm 5-3-1-6 in race number 9. That's it for today's 9-race card here this Saturday, February 1st at Laurel Park. Let's get to our best plays for today's racing card. I go here first with the race 5, the 9 Gilda's Girl. Again, talking about off the claim, a drop. We showed you the stat with Farrier off the claim recently. It's been very, very good. The moisture stays intact. I think this horse can revert back to races this time last year, make a good sustained run from off the pace.
Gilda's Girl would have been my best play if you hadn't taken her, so I'm going to go with First Pearl. A little bit of a pivot for me in race number 2. A horse I might key around in the pick 4 again. Last time out, just kind of bumped at the start, wired in a slow-paced race. We saw after she rallied wide that she was kicking on late. If she gets out of the gate better, I think the mile will be just fine for her.
Really like the finish after that early adversity. Got out to the center of the track, leveled off quite well, and a good gallop out. I think the stretch out is going to get First Pearl really close, if not to the winner's circle today. Dan, thanks again. It's 20 minutes now until post time. Up to Dave Rodman for some changes and scratches.
Good afternoon and welcome to Laurel Park. We're 20 minutes out to post time. Track condition rated muddy at this time. Winds out of the northwest at about 14 miles per hour. Temperature in the 40s. And here's a look at your Laurel Park changes. No changes in the first race. Actually, we do have a scratch there in the first race. That's 9 Baytown Governor. 9 Baytown Governor out of the first. Second race, number 1 Tiger Forever is 4 over. Third race, scratch the 8, let's have a party. Third race, scratch the 8, let's have a party. In the fourth race, number 1 Shape Note, jockey Marshall Mendez, and scratch the 4, got it. Fourth race, Marshall Mendez on the 1, scratch the 4, got it. Fifth race, number 6 Bally High, jockey Justin Lewis, weight 126, waive the apprentice allowance. In the sixth, scratch 2 Cross of Valor, scratch 6 Frosted Dreams. Seventh race, 8 He's on Fire, 1 over. Eighth race, scratch 1A My Last Mission, and the 5 Mazzicato. Eighth race, 1A5 scratch. Ninth race, scratch 8 My Lucky Valentine. Track muddy, 18 minutes to post time. Value pick 5s, early and late with a 12% takeout. Mandatory payout on the early pick 5. Late pick 5 has that carryover potential. Chesapeake pick 6. Chesapeake pick 6 wagering. Starting in race 4. Jackpot Super High 5. Race 6 on the program. Following our 9th race, we'll have 3 races from Aronas, Uruguay. You can wager on that following the live card. 17 minutes to post time. Track muddy. Good luck today, Laurel Park.